Welcome to Open Arms, an honest conversation about firearms. Hey everyone, I'm your host Brian Lockerman, and today's episode is brought to you by Edge Eyewear shooting glasses. Today we are actually giving away a pair of Edge Eyewear, and I love these things. These are one of my favorite shooting glasses I've always used. Try these on, Hans.
Let's check it out.
What do you think?
Let's see here.
Good stuff?
Oh, yeah. Fancy,
Very good.
Fancy.
If you'd like to be eligible to win a pair of Edge Eyewear sunglasses and a hat, go to our Instagram and follow us and read all the description below. So let's get back to this show here. Today in the studio, I have Hans Hazz. Hans, what brings you in today?
Well, honestly, fear.
Okay.
And, I was watching your show, Open Arms, and I was like, this guy, I like his style. I'm like, I know that probably he could teach me something great. So I just said, I want to know more about it. I want to know more about how to learn how to use a gun properly, how to shoot it. I've never owned a gun, and I'd love to own one in the future. I just want to make sure that when I do it right.
Absolutely. And Hans, you're doing the right thing. And that's what the show Open Arms is all about. We're all about safety, family, and the Second Amendment, as you know. And that is what we are trying to show America how important it is. And you as a viewing audience, if you'd like to see the show, go to openarms.tv and you can see what we're doing. Now, Hans, you're saying this is your first gun and you're going to come in for safety classes. What made you decide to purchase your first gun?
Well, there's so much stuff going on in the world today. In the last few years, actually in the last decade, a lot of things I felt were changing. And those changes were about my Second Amendment, my right to own a gun if I choose to or not to. And it just seems like the big people out there are trying to take that away from me. Take that freedom, and that is my right, like I told you earlier. It's I have a choice to believe in something bigger than myself or not. Well,
Exactly.
I have a choice to have a gun if I want to or not. But I just want to do it properly. I want to do it the right way so I can teach others if they ever had any questions or how to use a gun properly. I feel confident enough to go, hey, you know what? I took this class from Open Arms and they taught me the right way. I can show you, or you can go to them. Doesn't matter.
And that's spot on, Hans. That is what it's all about. And you did say that about possibly them taking your rights away to own a gun. And as you know, we have the Second Amendment that keeps us, that we're allowed to own firearms to protect ourselves. And I always said this. Nowadays, with what's going on, are the police able to get there in time to help you out? We love our boys in blue. We love them to death.
Yeah, amen.
But as you know, they are overwhelmed. And, if someone breaks in your house or maybe your business or whatever like that, there's not much time for them to get there to protect you or help you.
Right.
So therefore, we have to be able to have a choice to be able to protect ourselves. And what you're doing is the right steps to do that. And I really do appreciate where you're coming from.
Well, thank you. The other day I was reading on Instagram, concerning about Washington State. And this also caught my attention. I'm reading it and it said that they passed something in legislation in their state where they're going to try to ban, guns and semi-automatics. And I know that every state is a sovereign state, which is great, right? But the problem is who's running that state. Governors that could be or are left wing or don't like guns or they don't like for anyone to own a gun.
Exactly.
So they will sit there and just sign away whatever they can so you don't have those rights anymore.
Exactly. And here's the thing, and that's true. They want to take our rights away. Now, I am not saying everybody should run out there and buy a gun, but you have to have the choice. You have to have the choice and make that choice the right way and do it in a safe manner.
That's right. And like in Florida, for example, they just passed through legislation that everyone can carry a gun now there. That is awesome. Do you see any violence? Let's compare Florida to Chicago,
Exactly.
the most restricted gun ownership possible.
Exactly.
And they have more deaths in the United States than any state.
Hans, you hit the nail on the head there. And me, I have a CCW nationwide. I have a CCW in California, plus all the other states. And where do I carry my gun? In states that are like California, because they have too many laws that regulate gun ownership, and there's more crime. When we film our show in Arizona, I don't carry a gun because I feel safe, because they don't have those restrictions out there like they do in California.
That's right.
You know, and that's true. It's what's happening out in the world.
Yeah. And so, you know, here I am today, and I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be on the show and giving me the opportunity to at least have a chance to go through the process. And I feel more comfortable being here and learning from your open arms than any other place that I've experienced or that I've tried to go to ask questions. I went to a gun store down the street, and you know, I asked a lot of questions, and the kid seemed like a very smart kid. He knew what he was doing, but I was just like, well, okay, I got enough information, but now it's time to take action.
Yeah.
So I just stalled, and then I ran into you, and I ran into your Instagram. I said, oh, this is cool. Maybe this is my window to finally do it.
And absolutely. And there's a lot of you out there. And the thing is, that's why I put the project together, to show people where to go and have a place for them to go. Because a lot of people don't know this. And what's happening is they're going out, they're buying the gun, they're not getting trained, and they just willy-nilly leave it laying around their house loaded, have no idea what to do with it. And that's what we're trying to stop.
And this is what's also mind-blowing, you know, to me. You know, a few years back, I don't know if you remember, but, you know, the whole thing at the Cowboy Bar down the street here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Thousand Oaks was the safest community for years, year after year after year, on all the polls nationwide.
Yep.
And when that happened, right down the street from my house, 25, you know, beautiful souls passed on. And I always thought, imagine if the security guard had a gun.
Yes.
Imagine what could have happened.
Exactly.
You never know, but it would have been at least those people that perished would have had at least maybe a better chance.
I agree 100%, 100,000,000% on that one. I think if we do have more people that are armed and people know that people are armed out there, they're not even going to attempt to do this kind of cowardly act like that guy did up there.
Right.
And you know, I'm you know, friends with the owner of the club, and in fact, he's coming on the show. We're going to talk about that too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he had relocated his his club, as you know. He just didn't want to let it go because he felt he still owed it to the community to keep his service going, which is great. I really commend him for that. But you're right about that, Hans. If that security guard had a gun, or if other people known that were carrying, and there wasn't all these laws that restrict us, maybe that idiot wouldn't have came in that place and start doing his nut job thing he did.
Well, case in point, there was an incident at a church in Texas, and there was that gentleman, the older man, just happened to have a gun. It was at church. One crazy guy decided to pull out his gun. He, I think, took a couple of people out, or, you know, tried to shoot a few, but he just took his gun, one shot, and just shot him.
Exactly. And you don't hear those stories as much as you hear the other ones, right?
No,
right?
Right?
'Cause the media does that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And another thing, too, that I don't know if you noticed this, too, as well. The media has a way of swaying words of what is what. Like, for example, like an AR-15. What do they call it? An assault rifle 15, but it's not what it stands for.
Right.
AR stands for Armalite. Okay? They like to put words out there that are scare tactics. You know, semi-automatic, large capacity magazines, assault pistol, assault this, assault. And that's what they do. They scare the public.
Yeah, and I think it's unfair because, you know, the media has a big role in telling us the truth about a lot of things. And it just seems like today, especially when it comes to gun ownership and things that have to do with the Second Amendment, they're always either mocking it or they're putting negative things about it. And it's like, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's like they know that and I'm sure a lot of these people in the media, they probably have guns and they don't say nothing.
Of course.
And that's
of
the other
course.
funny part about it. So
Yeah,
it's
you know,
like,
and or they have bodyguards that are armed or whatever, you know.
exactly.
So, yeah, it's a joke.
I know.
Again, I'm not saying that everybody has to run out there and buy a gun tomorrow and stuff like that. Everybody just arm themselves. I'm saying that we don't take our freedom of choice away from us. That's what I am saying. And if you're going to make that choice, again, I go back to it again. Do it safely. Get to safety training. And then everybody's going to have a great day.
Exactly. I agree. And again, this is why, I tell, when I told my sister about this, I'm like, Kelly, I met this great guy and, he's got this like classes that you can take to, learn how to properly use a gun to protect yourself. And, I'm like, once I'm done, hell, I can probably show you the whole entire program too. And then you could take it as well. But she was totally excited about me meeting you. I'm like, hell, she's like, tell me more information after you're done with it. I'm like, I sure will. But this is my sister. And there's a lot of women gun owners. Thank God.
Absolutely.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And I hear great stories about them, saying, oh, I feel so much safer. It's in my purse, where I'm walking, wherever I'm going at night. I just feel more safe out there. And it's not a police officer. And again, like you said, with everyone, the media and everyone saying, oh, get rid of the police, let's cut their pay, let's just not use them anymore. It's not right. That's not the way society works. You got to have police officers to maintain some kind of order, to protect and serve the people in their community. That's why I'm 100%, 200% in the men in blue, because I respect them. They have done. I got to tell you this crazy story. When I was a kid, I was almost kidnapped.
Really?
I was almost kidnapped. I was 7 years old, and I had a routine where I would go home. And my mom always told me from Glenwood Elementary School, and she told me, always go home the same way you went.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mom, I will. My best friend Charlie at the time, he lived around my house on the opposite direction. So I could still go home that way, but it was a little bit more kind of shady.
Mm-hmm.
So he begged me that day, oh, Hans, come just walk me here, and then you can just go up the hill and you can go the back way. All right, fine, I did. So when that happened, Charlie and I at the corner, we said goodbye to each other, and he walked down. And literally as I was walking, two cars came up, a Cadillac, blue Cadillac, and a van. They pulled right up in front of me. And I sat there and I just turned white. I knew something was not right. The guy opened the door, and I just remember he was about to come at me. And boy, oh boy, I ran so fast, jumped over his car, ran down the hill yelling bloody murder, Charlie, 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 help me. He turns around, what's going on? I think somebody's trying to take me. Let's get to your house. I went around the corner, and I saw this guy in a white, beautiful Firebird. He was cleaning his car. And we were just about to get into Charlie's place, but I said, Charlie, wait. And I told the guy, I go, please help me. Can you help me? Somebody's trying to take me. And he goes, what's the matter? What's the matter? I said, someone's trying to take me. I was freaking out. I was crying. And he just pulls out his badge. He was off duty. He says, Hans, come with me. Show me where the guys are at. We went in his Firebird. We peeled out of there. We went up to the top of the hill. They're already gone. But boy, oh boy, talk about being there at the right time, right place. But that was a guy in blue.
There you
that
go.
helped me.
Oh, absolutely, and you're right about that. We need our boys in blue. We need them, And all this talk about cutting forces and things like that. It is so just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's sad. And imagine if that would have happened. Say we went back and they didn't have, that guy would have never been there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Who knows? But still, it's just the fact the fact to know that he was a police officer
Yeah.
made me feel so much safer.
Very, very good. Very good.
You know,
Well, Hans, everything you brought to the table today was just actually just, great stuff. Great stuff, what you want to do. You are doing the right thing. I'm glad you did find us, open arms. We're going to love to train you and get you safe when you bring that gun home. That's for sure. And yeah, just keep up the good work. What you're doing.
I will.
I think everything about you is what we are all about. And I love hearing people talk like you about things like gun ownership. And again, you're not coming on the show saying, again, everybody guns. You're saying, look, it's my choice, and I'm doing it the right way. I'm doing it the safe way. That's all it's about.
That's it. And again, that Constitution's the only piece of paper that separates us from the rest of the world. And
that's
we're
true.
So blessed to have that, because that is our freedoms.
100%.
The forefathers wrote it the way they did because they knew that sometime in the future, you never know, the government could become so tyrannical that they can take that away, and that's why they structured it that way.
That
Geniuses.
is correct. And a
Genius.
lot of people don't know that. And you know what's sad, Hans? They're not teaching our kids this in school. I mean, the stuff they're teaching them is it doesn't even talk about the Constitution, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, the amendments in general. They don't do anything like that anymore, it seems. You go in the streets and you ask these kids, questions. It's stupid things like this. How many states are in the United States?
Right.
I don't know. 10? You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
come on. Let's start teaching them the
Yeah.
proper things again. We learned this stuff as kids growing up. We learned what the United States was all about. We learned about the Constitution. We said the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. It was good. It was wholesome. It was about our country and who we are. I don't want that being taken away from us. So
Amen.
anyways, that's why there's good people like us that are trying to push the good word. You know what I mean?
That's it. That's all we can do. Keep fighting the good faith.
That's
right?
it. That's it, Hans.
Amen, man.
Hans, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. It was a great talk with you. Okay, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed that show. We have an attorney coming in, Tony Vera, for our next show, and we're going to have some more giveaways. So if you want to follow us, go to Spotify, Apple, and Instagram. Comment below if you'd like to be on the show. And always remember, safety, family, and the Second Amendment.